What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel and to the second video on Saturn 2. Just because my previous one caused a bit of a ruckus in the community, but fair points all the way through. So what I wanted to do with this video is kind of correct some of the issues that happened in the previous one because of the fact that I kind of rushed it. I was so excited about this that I just wanted to put a video out and kind of give people some sort of audio coming out of Saturn. But with this one, I want to go a step beyond and kind of see what it sounds like and what it does, and also what some of the modulations do on a guitar. So this is what we have to work with. And I'm going to stick to the same principle applied in the first video, where I just go through the presets, but also tweak a few things, and at the same time also explore some of the CPU issues that you might get if you use the superb one rather than the good, or just keeping it completely off. Dan Worrell posted a video recently about aliasing and why this stuff is important over sampling, so might as well check that out. But for this video, what I want to do is just go through the presets on some guitars and also have the CPU there running, so the meter running, so you see exactly what's going on that front. So without further ado, let's jump into it and let's see what the drive and guitar effects sound like and how they can change a simple guitar loop. So you can see the crossover here, moving from the first channel to the second one. And as you can see, these things can be assigned to a whole slew of parameters on the main part of the interface. And as opposed to the previous incarnation of the plugin, you have all of them within the same window. And this is interesting on the side of the visual feedback, because you can actually see what's going on. And with this, in a similar fashion to how the main screen kind of reds up when you have a lot of saturation going, the input, for instance, here, the input drive shows you how much it's actually driving it by having more or less screen in it. So watch this space. Let's check out the next one. And And notice how different these two transformers are, because you do have quite a few extra saturation types here than in Saturn 1, but the difference from warm transformer to gentle transformer is quite noticeable. I quite like this one. But the difference in CPU is considerable. I mean, look at what happens when it's off. Good. And superb. It's getting close to 2% CPU usage, so the more you crank it, the less you'll probably be able to do in the rest of your session. So moving on. And I love this tone, and you'll see it especially when we go to the guitar ones, just because it acts like the tone knob on a guitar pedal. And you can notice this one's going at 0.7 rather than 1.7. So depending on how much stuff is going on, how many bands you use, this will impact the CPU load. The more stuff you have here, the more the CPU load, the less stuff you will be able to pull off in a mix. And the thing is, even going through the circuit, quote unquote, does something to the sound and makes it, in this case, sound warmer. As the title of this saturation algorithm suggests. Let's have a listen to that again. And with this one, you can actually tell the difference between no and I think it's 32x oversampling. And listen to how lifeless it sounds without it. Awesome. Moving on. This one might not sound too good on this, but let's see. And these XY pads are really cool just because you can kind of move around these spaces and find the right tone for it. Because when I loaded up this preset, it sounded pretty bad. But once you kind of find position for all of these parameters, so the mid shape, the high shape, the low shape, and the distortion control, which is kind of what this preset has going for it, you get a nice tone. So let's have a listen to before and after. Completely different sound, and this one, even though it's only on high quality, the fact that it has like 5 different bands, it's already going to 1.5. I'm wondering what happens when I switch to Superb. So this is quite extreme. It gets to 5% almost, so having this on more than a few tracks will not be something that your processor will enjoy, but it does make a difference in sound quality, so I guess freezing it will be your only option. And this is a preset from version 1 that I use a lot, and I'll probably continue using with this one. I'm just curious what it sounds like with the Superb one. I love this. It sounds like a guitar now. It's not lifeless like the loop seems to be. Last one of this lot. So see how easy it is to actually take one slider, move it, and get a good sound. Literally, with this one, there's not that much happening, but with all of these presets, you can pick one knob, turn it one way or the other, and you'll get to the sound that you're kind of hearing in your head. All of these presets are usable, so it just takes a bit of tinkering to get it to sound exactly like you want it. And the fact that it has these high quality modes means that if you have a really cool sound but you get some bizarre artifacts, 32 oversampling, it's unlikely you'll hear that artifact with this setting on. So moving on to the actual guitar ones, back in the day. So one single band with a few things happening, modulating, you do get to 1%, so there's that. And the thing is, it sounds so smooth, and if you didn't know that something happened to the original sound, you'd think that that was the way it was recorded. It's that smooth. And it's something you don't really get with that many distortion and saturation plugins, where after a certain point, or using a certain set of changes in the way you configure the settings and the preset, you can hear that it's completely digital. It's smooth. It's not something you'd hear on an old kind of guitar record, which is kind of what we're trying to achieve with this stuff anyway. So trying to add imperfection back into perfection, into the perfection of the digital realm. So moving on. And you can do a lot by combining these different distortion and saturation algorithms, and also playing with the MS, just because you might want to get that low end of the guitar kind of dead center and do whatever you wanted, but then have the sides distorted in a different way. And especially with a loop like this, you might actually benefit from these types of creative moves. I love this. This sounds amazing. Dynamic Fender. And all of these things can be automated, so imagine how cool you can make something like this sound when you just tweak the XLFO to have it modulate the vibrato, tremolo, and even the speed. So again, a single band going kind of 1.1. So it is a taxing plugin if you use the high quality mode. And this is amazing even as an EQ tool. So for instance, the with this preset, if it's off, it sounds a bit muddy, but turning this on, it clears it up, and you can easily hear something like this in a mix once you apply it. Same thing with this one, because it is modulating the kind of the treble part of it, but it sounds so good. And clean, and again, it's getting rid of that muddy thing that the original loop has. And another cool addition to this, taken from Pro MB, is the fact that you can actually control the slopes. You don't have a continuous slope as in Pro MB, but you do get quite a large selection. But it is clocking at 4.9, so quite taxing. And all of these modulations are so fun to play with, and literally you can do anything that you can do in all of the other kind of creative plugins that they have in the creative bundle. So it's Saturn, it's their Synth Twin 2, Timeless 2, the delay plugin. So all of those are here and more. And the fact that you can control the amount of modulation, again, makes this a fantastic plugin, because you can basically do anything with it that involves saturation, distortion, and tweaking these things gives you other options as well. I mean, you can get tremolo effects, you can get some crazy panning stuff, even though it's not necessarily designed for that. So, exactly. So hopefully that gave you a better sense of what Saturn 2 can do, and this is literally just on the guitar, going through the presets and tweaking a few knobs. And I do apologize again for the rushness of the first video, but it's just so exciting to get something like this from a company that actually cares for their customers. And again, if you own more products from them, and if you have an educational discount, you'll get this for cheap. Again, I paid £19 for it. It's nothing for what you can do with it. So let me know what you think about this video. Hopefully you found it valuable, and until next time, enjoy Saturn 2.